Welcome back to Vic's Projects, everyone, and some exciting news. I'm expecting my firstborn. So, in honor of soon becoming a dad, let's try out some dad jokes. So today, we're going to be fueling around with the Jag. Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm actually currently shooting two videos. This tank and taking out and servicing the rear diff. We'll see which one comes out first. I think probably the tank, because this guy is proving a right pain in the ass, as you'll see in the other video. So there's not too much fuel in there. We put away with maybe 1/8 of a tank, just under 1/4 of a tank. So first things first, drain plug, and let's get the fuel out. Oh, that was on tight. There we go. Oh, that looks lovely. This tank's going to need a bit of a clear out. Oh, I hate fuel. Having drained the tank, before we can drop it, we've got to disconnect it from the pump. Now you might be wondering why we've got this funny camera angle and you can only see part of my face. That's because of the way the car is in here. I can't actually open this any further. However, we can still get to him somewhere. I think it's these two here. So I think it's this top one. If I follow that down, there we go. That goes to the tank. So it's him that we've got to remove first. Before we clean the tank out, there's this little filter which also doubles as a drain plug, and out the bottom that's all a bit cruddy, so we'll wash him out first. Okay, so we've got the tank out and it's not quite as bad as I thought it was going to be. We do have a little gadget so we can actually check inside. So let's do that first. And here it is, little endoscope. So I picked up this guy super cheap from the local Lidl's. They were doing it for, I think it was like 30 quid, something like that. I thought that's going to come in useful one day. So I snapped it up. I don't think I've actually used this yet for anything proper other than just mucking about. So let's have a look in the tank and see how bad it is. Sort of surface rusty, but not like really bad. Okay, so we've cleaned out the tank. The water's coming out not too well, water brake cleaner coming out all right, not too dirty. There's a few chunky bits, some like rusty bits in there, but that's all right, not too bad. Now our tank's been sitting in the garage for about 2 weeks with all the orifices open, so I'm hoping that should have cleared all the fuel out. However, we've just filled it with brake cleaner, which all should evaporate really quickly, really easily. But before we start attacking this guy with a grinder and blowing ourselves to bits, I'm going to put the vacuum cleaner on it, but in reverse, so then blow out and hopefully get rid of all the gas that's in there. Now this has been left fumigating a while, hopefully all the flammable gas has now left this tank. The trick now is to clean up all this surface rust, get all this old flaky paint off, give it a bit of a rust treatment, and get a new fresh lick of paint on it. Before we do, close this garage so we don't continually cover the car in the horrible dust that this creates. As we've seen, the inside of this tank isn't actually that bad and we don't need to do a full treatment. However, there is a couple of rust spots in there, so I went on eBay and got someone to solve that. Unfortunately, what normally happens when you go online and buy things is you don't quite realise how big or small they are. So this should be enough to do this tank. It's also reusable as well, which is pretty handy. So this should just convert those little rust spots in there and just give the tank a few more extra years. So let's just throw that in, let it do its biz, and then we're all good. As we're doing the petrol tank, there's one thing we need to remember to do, and that's clean out behind this flap. Because once the spout goes in, there's no way I'm going to be able to get my fingers around that. Really? Well, that's annoying. That needs some paint. Well, that looks much neater now that we've sprayed all inside that hole. Stop it now. Thing is, where we've got it all over the rim here, you've gone too far now. Okay, all right, I'll stop. So, this car's been repainted before, and I'm not 100% sure what the actual colour is. So I've got this paint, which was actually to one of the standard paints of the time, of this sort of blue. You can see here it's just a little bit darker, but thankfully, just because it is that petrol filler flap, you can't really see it. It will be fine. I might see if I can just blend some of these edges to make it a bit nicer, but the main thing is it's protected. It looks about right. I mean, how much time are you going to spend actually looking in here? It'll be fine. Okay, so let's crack on and get this full thing assembled and back together. Now the crusty tank's out, hopefully the boot floor isn't as bad. Let's take a quick look. So it looks like it's all been covered in wax oil. So actually it's really lovely under there. All good metal. The inner arch is here. Is that an inner arch? Back end, something like that. That's all a bit crusty, but never mind. We can sort that out another time. But actually the main part of the boot floor, all nice and solid. All of that's all good, solid, wheel well, all good. So happy days. Just grind that back, give her a fresh coat, and we're all good to go. Ta-da! Easy, done. No, no, not easy. Weekend, evening, just, oh, so much time scrubbing all of this, all in the little, all these little bits and pieces. So hard to get to. Oh, I'll tell you what, if you're going to do this yourself and you find that you've got wax oil underneath, yes, it's great because all the metal's still there rather than like this guy. But oh, just get a hose out and clean it off before you pull it into your garage. Oh, yeah. Anyway, all done now. The next step of the process is rust treatment. So for this back end here, that definitely needs some. The rest of it is all right. So I'll probably just put some of that rust converter stuff in some strategic places and then get ready for paint. Before we move on to the glory stage of paint, we're going to take a look at these P-clips here. So they were originally held on with just some self-tapping screws, but I think we can do a little bit better than that. And for that, we're going to bring out our old friend, the riv nut. Our P-clip lives up on that, holds the fuel line up to the body. So we did have a self-tapping screw in there, but we're going to replace it with a nutset so we can actually get a threaded bolt onto there and actually do a bit more of a professional job. So the question is, do we use an M4 or an M5? Yes, I know, I haven't got any Imperial nutserts. Who the hell cares, really? It's not a concourse car. You've seen the car. Jeepers. It'll be fine. Well, it's better than a self-tapper anyway. So, I think, although the M4 fits a little... Actually, no, that's the M5. Even though the M5 fits a bit better than the M4, I think I'm going to go smaller rather than larger. So, M4 it is. Now the floor's all painted up, tank is good to go back into the car. So we've got some tank isolators, or manky old bits of rubber. Whenever you're doing any jobs, I always would recommend just replace rubber bits as you go. So be it a little grommet or whatever, because rubber just dies, it's a consumable pretty much. So whenever you're at it, whenever you're close, they're normally not that expensive, it's just worth replacing them as you go. So this is going to be a pain in the bum. Let's crack on. That's just juvenile. We've come to that part in the video where we'd fill it up, fuel would go everywhere, we'd have to fix that, and then we'd go out for a drive and everything would be lovely. However, we can't actually go for a drive until the diff's in. So that's going to have to be it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time on Vic's Projects. That's enough.